Welcome back to another week of Part of the Disruption. It's my favorite time of the week. I got the room shakers in the building with me. We're ready to discuss everything real estate and get into some arguments. That's my favorite part. I like when they argue. So let's go ahead and give a roll call really quickly, starting virtual left to right with Steve Trang. Boss man, how you doing today?
Doing great. So Steve Trang, serial entrepreneur, now serial podcaster, sales trainer. Basically, if you need it, we can help you find a way. If we can't help you, we know who can. So here for anything you need.
There we go. All right. Leon Barnes, don't forget the G. I almost did.
Thank you, bro. Don't forget the G. Leon G. Barnes with the genius. And you got a lot of cereals going in there, Steve. I just like cereal. How about that? Can we just go with that for this week?
All right. We also got Eric Brewer in the building.
What's going on, everybody? I'm a real estate investor in Pennsylvania, soon to be Florida resident. I actually also do like cereal, specifically Captain Crunch. And if no one has taught you, you eat the peanut butter first. And by the time you get to the berries, you've created strawberry milk. And the combination of that is remarkable. I would suggest you try it.
I think we have our first viral clip just in that right
there. There you go.
And pulling up with the buzzer beater, CJ. How you doing, man?
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. It's good to be back. Shout out to Eric Brewer with the keto tips. Steve, it's good to see you. Leon, it's great to see you as well. All right. I'm happy to be back. I missed last week. Chris Jefferson, Richmond, VA. Charged Up University. I do all things real estate, man. I'm ready to get into it today.
Welcome back.
Steve, didn't we have like the highest ratings ever last week in the absence of Chris Jefferson?
It was definitely the best episode we've ever had.
Broke the internet.
And I don't want to start off with a disagreement, but there's no T in Captain Crunch. Just want to put that out there as well.
No what?
There's no T. Captain Crunch.
Oh, okay.
Captain. We say Captain.
Captain Crunch.
I get that sounded.
I'm a serial entrepreneur. Like I'm an entrepreneur in cereal as well.
That is the whitest version of Captain I've ever heard. My man said there's no T in Captain.
No T in Captain. Anyway, I just wanted to correct. I don't want the audience to be confused.
Eric, I was with you, Eric. I was
right there. I don't want the audience buying the wrong cereal.
Yeah.
I think we're safe.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that dilemma.
Should have left it at the ratings were great last week at CJ. Although I'm pretty sure he got 3 votes last week. I don't know how that's possible, but he got votes last week. He wasn't even here.
Well, now that we've clarified the correct pronunciation and spelling of Captain Crunch, my apologies for the T, Steve. It is great to have you back, CJ. Welcome back. We missed you last week. Everyone, there is a new, not Real Estate Disruptors. That is the channel we're on right now. There is a new part in the Disruption channel that you can find all of the clips and highlights from the show this week and all the past episodes. That show or that channel will be in the comment section shortly. Go ahead and feel free to follow that, like and subscribe to those videos as well. And gentlemen, I think we're ready for question number 1. You guys ready?
Go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's start off with CJ. Welcome back. Is wholesaling dead right now?
Look, wholesaling is not dead whatsoever. Like if you've been trying to, utilize the same old exit strategy of what people think wholesaling is of, oh, I'll get a deal and send it over to a cash buyer, then maybe you might have that comment, but it's 110% not dead. Like you have to kind of understand what exit strategies you have available. Can you create notes? Can you create wholesale opportunities? Can you create retail buyer opportunities that is super, super hot even still right now? So no, wholesaling is not dead. You have to adjust your strategy to the business. Don't be one of these people that they talk about that exited real estate when the market went down. This is the time to ride in with the cape and the charged up hat and get rich, man. So no, wholesaling is absolutely not dead.
All right. Let's go over to Leon G. Barnes.
Absolutely not dead, but some wholesalers that were order takers the last 3 years, their business may be dead. As a strategy, wholesaling, no, it is not dead. I know plenty of people within our organization and outside of our organization that are doing it as an exit strategy today, every day, and 100 times a month. So absolutely, it is not a strategy that is dead. If you are good at negotiations, you're good at sales, then this is a strategy that you should be able to use right now still.
Okay. Eric Brewer, let's hop over to you.
I think that here's the big problem. What people defined as wholesaling the last 2 years was not. Wholesaling indicates that you've been able to buy the property at a discount and sell it at a discount. Properties were being purchased at a near premium and sold at a premium. So it was a wholesale style transaction because it was cash, right? And there was an investor involved in there, or a facilitator, probably more so than an investor. Now a deal needs to be a deal, right? Much like it needed to be in 2014, 15, 16, and 17. So no, it never died. It's not dying, but it got a little, I think, cloudy these last 2 years. It wasn't really wholesaling, but it got labeled as such.
Okay.
So real wholesaling is back. You got to be able to get a deal.
Okay. I like that. Oh, great answer. Steve, let's go ahead and finish up with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think like what these guys have said, I think wholesaling, as we understood it for the last couple of years, is mostly gone. But you know, I've been in this business since 2007, and wholesaling has just always had a different way of moving properties, right? So, or even sourcing properties. Like back in 2009, you had to source at auctions, right? So wholesaling as a business model is still alive and well. But the way you do it, the way you acquire the property, the way you exit the property is always evolving. So right now, our end buyers, as far as a wholesale deal, is gone. So we're either closing more deals or we're innovating and doing the Brewer method. So you just got to look at consistently evolving your process to match the market as it stands today. Those that can't evolve are the ones that are going to be in a lot of trouble.
All right. The voting has opened in the chat. And gentlemen, the floor is open as well.
I'll jump in with a quick thought.
Today. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with a real quick thought. Like, if you're one of these people that you found out about wholesale in the last 3 to 4 years, and you could just, like Eric said, you just got something under contract and you just sold it off to a cash buyer. If that's been your game, if that's what you know, you're going to be jammed up right now. You're not going to really know, up from down. But you just have to turn the page. This is just pivoting within the business. That doesn't mean the strategy is gone. It just means the way in which you approach it needs adjustment. I like retail buyers a lot right now. Shout out to Eric, even with the innovation method. I mean, getting stuff in the hands of retail buyers that are always going to be buying, that's wholesaling, man. Wholesaling is just simply, like Eric said, getting something under contract at a discount and moving it at a discount. It doesn't have to be to a cash buyer all the time.
Yeah, Stephanie Betters was on the show a couple weeks ago, and she brought up a great book, right, for everyone that's kind of like struggling right now. Who Moved My Cheese? Which sounds like a silly title, but that is exactly what's happening right now. And you got to evolve with the way the business changes.
Let's write a new book for wholesaling in the new market called "Who Moved My G's?" Like where did my racks go?
I like
right?
that.
Like I'll give you an example of the ability, and we talk about this a lot in the groups of people that I communicate with that are inside of Collective Genius, or folks that I'm talking to on a regular basis about the market and our business and making sure we're doing whatever we can to help each other continue to grow. And I've been very irresponsible about seller finance and sub two and all that stuff for the last several years because I didn't have to move in the direction of that innovation. And we just bought a house like 30 minutes ago from a house that we offered 190 on. The guy was stuck at 260. We offered him 280 and he financed it for 30 years at 0%. And the payment was like $800 a month and it rents for almost $3,000. Like I just wasn't even looking at that deal before. So is that the conventional means of wholesale? No, I paid retail for the house. I got the financing at wholesale. So I was able to create cash flow and really will be able to create equity in a very short period of time. But I had to innovate. We had to pivot. So, and I think to what Chris had said, and certainly Steve's suggestion of Who Moved My Cheese, your cheese has been moved. You got to relocate.
Yeah, I think the way I love Leon Johnson, the way he put it was retail value at wholesale terms. Right?
Exactly.
You can go ahead and give me that credit, Steve.
All right, Leon Barnes says retail value, wholesale terms.
That's a good line, man.
what you heard multiple times on this wrap up are the words pivot, evolve. If you're in this business and you're not ever evolving and changing with the times, when I first got in this business, half of the inventory that we purchased to flip was from the MLS, and that dried up in a few short years. And we had to evolve and pivot and get direct to seller in different channels and those type of things. So the question was, is wholesaling dead? And the word dead is usually comes from something not evolving and being flexible in this industry. So to me, that those words that you guys gave of evolution and pivoting are crucial during these times, because let's face it, a lot of people that to what CJ was talking about earlier, the people that have just gotten in business for the last 3 years, they've just lived in a land of milk and honey. They've never seen a down market ever. They've seen nothing but rising prices, and they haven't had to purchase a deal. It's time to evolve.
Milk, honey, and cereal.
That'd be like saying when Blockbuster went out of Blockbuster went out of business, that the movie business was dead. It
Right.
wasn't.
Right.
People were consuming more movies and things, like that today than they ever were. So it's definitely not dead. I think we all agree on that, but it looks a little bit different than it did 6 months ago.
Quick update though, Eric, you do call me Cliff Clavin for a reason. There is one Blockbuster still alive to this day. So even Blockbuster is not dead, my friend. There's one Blockbuster still in the United States.
It's a tourist attraction. People fly around, fly there just to see that Blockbuster.
I believe it's in Alaska.
I'd love to go visit, but I think I still owe them some money, so I'm going to avoid that. I don't need that hitting my credit anytime soon. I think it's been passed. Great first round. Welcome back. It's a great first round. My vote, I'm not going to lie, my vote went to Brewer. He's out here freestyling. He's dropping bars. He's making these valid points. There's a little bit of a different energy with you, man. You're on the bike. You're going to Wu-Tang concerts. I like your energy right now, bro. Chris Jefferson takes the W for round one. That's how you come back on the program.
Counting those votes from last week.
I'm back in town, man. I'm back in town, man.
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, guys. Question number 2. Do you think houses will be available at massive discounts like Blackstone, who is prepping $50 billion to buy houses during a downturn? Let's go ahead with CJ first.
Yeah, I like this question a lot, right? Like, what does Blackstone know that I know, that Eric Brewer, Leon G. Barnes, and Steve Trang knows? Now's the time of milk and honey for real. Like, now's the time to really get active, really get in here, really get into the business. Now, when we say massive discount, I don't know how you want to quantify what a massive discount is. I don't know that there will be massive discounts with so much institutional buyers in the market right now. Prior to 2008, single family houses weren't considered a security. So we didn't have this effect that we have now in the market, where institutional hedge funds buyers are just heavily into the market like Blackstone. So I think there's going to be a discount that there's to be, taken advantage of. I don't think it's going to be a massive discount, so to speak, unless some of these institutions pull out of the market. But yes, there will be a discount. Yes, there will be plenty of money to be made. Pay attention to the big dogs like Blackstone and what they're doing.
All right. Second place last round was Steve Trang. So let's go over to you.
There's not going to be $50 billion worth of discounts, right? I think things will be on sale long-term on their business model, which is to buy properties and then get cash flow. They're like a real estate investment trust where they buy commercial buildings, right? And they just make the money off of cash flow. So for them, it'll be on sale. And for me, it's a relief because we know there's a bottom. There's going to be a bottom on real estate values because they'll buy it. But I don't think there's going to be $50 billion worth of discount. Like for us, we can buy 2 deals a month at a really good deal, and we're going to be really happy living really good. They can't buy $50 billion worth of good deals. That just can't exist mathematically.
All right. Let's go over to Eric Brewer.
I think it's Chris had mentioned it's all how you quantify a discount, right? You could have bought at the peak of 2006, and if you held it until 2022, you would go, dang, I got a discount, but everybody was making fun of you in 2008 for paying what you paid in 2006. So I don't think there's going to be this massive sale where property is available in large volume at a reduced price from its value today. But I think there will be the ability to buy large amounts of homes because of the cooling retail environment, right? The reduced non-institutional buyers, a lot of, let's say, the newer wholesalers that will not be able to pivot and survive. And you'll be able to buy stuff today that when you look back 10 years from now will be a great deal.
All right, and let's wrap up with Leon G. Barnes.
Like Chris said in that question, massive discounts has changed. Like in 2008, when the crash happened, there were a lot more massive discounts available because the commoditization of assets that are houses today, the amount of money that's spent by corporate America on assets, that wasn't the same in 2009. So I think that the answer for me on this particular question is all about what you should be doing, rather than what's coming your way, right? I'll credit Marcus Krigler, who's a CPA and a CFO only for real estate investors that's in the CG community. He always talks about the top 10 things that the best real estate investors in the United States do. There's top 10 things that he lists. The biggest one is every single one of them has at least $1 million liquid cash to take advantage of any opportunities that come your way. So rather than waiting for them to come, just keep stacking those racks like Eric talked about earlier.
All right. The voting is now open for the chat, and the floor is open as well.
Eric, I was the last one to get the word. You can't buzz me. You don't have.
I mean, how do you get one buzzer and talk for 78 seconds?
You got a timer there?
I got 3 buzzers at the same time. Like, let's.
I'm taking it easy on the buzzing for you, Brewer. I definitely was coached.
Not for me. I got 2. I was 5 seconds over and got double buzzed. This guy talked till 3 o'clock and he only got 1.
That's because the point was valid. If your point's not valid, you get
Gotta
buzzed.
get a buzz.
I think it's because he fell asleep listening to your response. That wasn't a buzzer. It was his alarm clock.
I think everybody's got to get out of recession denial. I don't know how much clearer it has to be that we're in a recession. I think 2008 was so significant, so impactful that people have this perspective that it has to look like that. Right. We are in a recession today. That's not questionable.
We're redefining and reimagining, Chris. Come on, get with the program.
Fair enough. But they got to get out of denial. We are in a recession. You got to be sharpening your skill set. I saw a Fortune magazine article just the other day. Goldman Sachs put out a paper on what they see as the market. There's a lot of economists, different people that have perspectives out right now on the market. We're not going to, I don't think, see drastic, massive price drop off. But I do think we're going to see really great opportunity. New home starts are down. Inventory is up. Days on market is up. So just pay attention to where we're at and take it serious and make the live adjustment, have that pivot foot, and stop being so committed to things that wore the way that they wore the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think just to add to it, right, you got to remember, like, Blackstone coming in and BlackRock's been here and all these different hedge fund names, right? They've been buying properties for long-term yield. And Blackstone's coming in, when they're buying it, is going to be for long-term yield, right? That's what they did. Actually, Blackstone's the one that got us out of the last mess, right? Like, they're the
100%.
ones that were coming in, buying off the MLS, buying at auction, right? And they're the ones that set that floor that caused this upward trajectory in pricing. But with all that being said, there won't be $50 billion worth of discounts, but there will be more than enough discounts for every single person here and watching the show. There's plenty of opportunity. So, like, go look and go get what's yours.
All right. First 2 rounds are starting off really, really well this week. I like the energy, fellas. The voting is still open for the chat, although it looks like we have a landslide in progress. But we'll give it a couple seconds and let it even out. Just a reminder to follow the official Pardon the Disruption Clips channel. All of these clips will be available on there, so you can rewatch them again for yourself, share them with your teams. And yeah, they will be commenting in the chat as well. There they are.
Hey, Weasel, real quick, in
Yes,
the
sir.
spirit of Leon G. Barnes, I'm just back, fresh. You see the tan, man. I'm fresh off Mexico
Let's go.
and COVID. All right, but in the spirit of Leon G. Barnes, I'm going to just drop a fact. Wikipedia just recently changed the definition of recession. And maybe it was Eric Brewer that made the change on Wikipedia.
I was just going to say, open source.
They've changed the definition of recession literally because people are in recession denial. Like we are where we are. It's time to adjust, man. 100%.
Are people really in recession denial? I think just the media.
100.
I think just the media is in
100%.
recession denial.
If you just got into the business within the last 24, 36 months And like Eric said, you could get a property under contract at a premium and then sell it to somebody else at a higher premium. And your perspective right now is so warped in that. There's a lot of people that I'm talking to, man, that don't think that things are shifting. When Steve, you're a data guy, the data shows us that things are changing.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is a function of geography, because there's nobody in denial over here in Arizona.
Well, you're in Arizona, man. So it's when it gets heavy in Arizona fast, it comes in quick. So you guys are feeling it probably a lot more than everybody else right now.
Yeah,
across the country, but the broom is coming in to kind of sweep the floors, man.
Yeah, there are a lot of layoffs going around in our neck of the woods. So no one's in denial over here in Arizona.
Your market was hit the hardest of any that we've talked to within our community. You guys had 25 or 30% changes overnight in your marketplace. And so there are people that are probably in denial just because it hasn't hit them in the Midwest, Southeast at this point.
We lead in volatility, so you guys can just pay attention to us, and then you guys will get the rest.
Great point. All right, the voting is closed. CJ takes round 2 also, 56% of the votes. So it's charged up in the voting section right now. Welcome back.
Man, I actually miss RJ.
You know what? I miss RJ too, but he never likes to share any of his products with me. So
I'm right here. So if RJ is here, that means I'm not here. So I remember I'm right here.
We had RJ instead of CJ. Right? CJ is just getting all the I don't know what's going on. He's got all the VA votes from
just dropping bars, man. Just came back dropping bars, man.
There we go. All right, question number 3. Let's keep it going. When do you think interest rates will go down again? Chris Jefferson, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I think this is just a fascinating question, right? Like, what does that really mean? You know, I think when people ask that, I think they have this concept of historically low interest rates being 2, 3, 3.5%, 4%. Are we going to go back to that? I personally don't think that's going to happen. I think those days have flown by. I think if you're sitting waiting to buy a house or make a move in your business, whatever, anticipating rates going back to that, I think you lost your mind. I think that rates may trickle down again in the future and stabilize around 5, 6%, something to that effect. But I think this might be our new normal, just like COVID is our new normal and our way of living, the way we're having to protect ourselves when we travel, things of that nature. I think this is very much the same in the interest rate environment that we're in. And so that's kind of my perspective on that, man. It's not going to go back to what it was, in my opinion, but it will drop lower in the future, but we still got time for it to go up.
Okay, let's go over to Leon.
Yes. That's it. Yes, they will go back down. We talked about this earlier, the ability to pivot. Yes, they will go back down. Will they go back down to where we were all refinancing in the 2s just a few years ago? Probably not immediately, but will it 5, 10 years from now? Yes, the answer is. But think about this. When Eric Brewer bought his first house in 1982, you know what his interest rate for that house was? 3-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow that he bought there in York, Pennsylvania.
1.5.
It was 18%. His interest rate was 18%. So
that's what yours is now.
We can make money 5, 6%, 7%. You can still make money with that interest rate. So the answer is yes, they will go down.
Okay, Steve Trang.
So everything I've read is that interest rates are going to go down next year. I don't know why they're waiting till next year, but what I'm seeing is not the overwhelming consensus, but a lot of people think that interest rates are going to go down maybe mid-4s next year. Me personally, being the skeptic that I am, I believe interest rates will go down prior to the election. Like, they need some good things to happen, for power reasons in Chris's neck of the woods. So I think interest rates might go down a little sooner to affect the housing situation, because this housing situation got pretty screwed pretty fast, right? So I think they need to clean that up a little bit, or people are going to be voting with pitchforks. And so I personally believe it could even go down prior to November, but we'll see.
Okay. And Eric Brewer, bring us home.
I had two responses. One, I had the opportunity at Collective Genius to hear a gentleman by the name of Bruce Norris speak, who studies interest rates and all different type of economic indicators. And he simply said rates move in conjunction directly with inflation and 1 or 2 other things, right? We saw rates go up as an attempt to control inflation. Rates will come down when inflation they feel is under control. The second thing is, who cares? I think there's way too much emphasis put on interest rates and our ability to be able to buy real estate or invest in real estate. It really doesn't matter. It's noise. It does not. It just buy the house at a lower price to offset the increase in rate. You know what I did with rentals, because I sell a lot of turnkeys? The rates went up, so did the rent. Cap rate stayed the same, baby. Rates go up, rents go up. So you just have to, you gotta find the money from somewhere, and it's always there to be found.
Okay. The voting is now open and the floor is open as well.
When did this, to your point, Eric, when did interest rates become, and it's a good question to ask because it's something that in our industry especially is just, I think there's so much emphasis put on it today. The light is shined on it so bright. When did that change?
I don't know, but I can tell you.
I think it's when we started seeing these historic lows in rates.
It gives you the ability. It goes back to what we talked about with wholesale and whether you're skilled or not. Like there's always this cyclical nature of what a seller expects, what a buyer expects, and what the investor that connects the two is able to put together. And there's often times where you could buy a property, not have it be, a really good deal, but because the government had an incentivized interest rate so much, people were able to buy real estate and hold on to it where they weren't able to do so before because the balance of rate and price did not create the opportunity. So I think that created a lot of opportunity for people, and when those rates went up, it shut off that opportunity. But that's not a true investor. Mm-hmm. That's a speculative person that's buying based on one set of circumstances. That's not an investor.
Yeah, I think the interest rates become relevant, Leon, only when there's the deltas, right? Like if we go from 3% to 6%, like that's a massive difference. But if it stays 6% for the next 6 years, we don't care. So I think really it's just a delta. Like if it goes up a lot, we've got to in a short period of time, we got to make adjustments. If it goes down, we got to make other adjustments. I mean, one of the really cool things was, like Frank Cava was like banging the drum on like, do your cash out refi, refi everything, right? Mm-hmm. Because interest rates were historic lows, right? So you make decisions based off what's going on, but it's really the delta that we feel like. I think a lot of people that were disenfranchised as far as buying, in June and July because how much interest rates jumped up, like for them, there was a new reality and it sucks. But if you're looking to buy a house right now, you don't have an old reality to compare it to. So like, yeah, it's 6%. This sucks, but this is what it costs to buy a house. It's the delta.
To my point, when Eric bought that crib in '82, at 18%, 18% was a great rate.
Strike two.
Shout out to 82, man.
Two strikes. I'm telling you right now. You keep poking the bear. Steve knows what happens when you poke the bear.
Interest rate is going to go up.
The voting is there's actually currently a tie, so we're going to wait for a few minutes to see if we can break this tie. If not, I guess I'm faced with a harsh decision to make. Do we go 3-0 for CJ or do we get Brewer on the board? What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, to Leon's question about when did interest rates become like this thing, I just think it's when we saw such a dip in rates. I mean, when they got historically that low, look, if you didn't do business at the time, if you didn't buy a house at the time, I mean, I think you personally definitely made a mistake.
You guys shut CJ off?
Okay, I was wondering if that was on our end.
Don't say anything.
You guys muted CJ.
Yeah,
that's cold.
That's why you don't speak about the government on YouTube. That's what happens.
You got it.
Everything's fine.
There's a 3-way tie right now, guys. So I'm gonna keep it up for another minute or two and see if we can.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. From now on, this is a tip for Steve. I just read this book called Persuasion by a super smart guy. He said anything too stupid to be spoken should be sang. So, Steve, for the rest of the show, you should sing your answers.
How do you say that guy's last name? The guy that wrote the book.
Cialdi.
That was a really solid effort.
We had a comment that said,
"What is it?"
Cialdini.
All right, whatever, dude.
It was close. It was very close.
Chowder. I heard Eric say chowder.
We had a quick comment I wanted to address from
New
Kurt
England
Jones,
chowder.
Go ahead, Weagle.
All right. Kurt Jones said it might not see 3% in my lifetime. Will it ever go down that low? Seems like it goes up to 7, then down to 5. Is that down or normal? Just quickly touch on that.
Normal.
That's normal.
Historically, rates of 5% are very appealing. Again, I think we're just talking about what Steve called the delta. Is that what we're paying attention to right now is the difference between what it was most recently and what it is now. But historically, a 5% interest rate is really good.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, I saw a presentation, Jeremy Heath, and he talks about like how interest rates are low and they're going to stay low for a long period of time because that's the only way to keep propping up our economy. So I think it could just be like between 3 and 6% for the rest of our lives because there's no other levers that our government can use.
Okay. All right. Three-way tie at 30% of the votes. That's something that's never happened before. So I think what I feel is the right thing to do to break up this three-way tie between CJ, Brewer, and Steve. I'm going to give the points to Leon because that's my guy.
Now we're talking.
Leon's on the board with a point. I got you. I told you I was going to get you last week, so this is my get back for you,
Steve.
Sir.
Look, Steve, I
there you go.
My own today. Because even if I don't win, I'm still a winner. See that? I'm still a winner.
Did you buy that for yourself?
Come on, man.
Hilarious.
My kids said I'm a winner regardless, so I'm good with that.
Here we go.
God bless them. So innocent.
Yep.
All right.
They've been talking to Uncle Brewer too much. That's the problem.
I'll get them squared away.
We're on to round number 4, but just a quick reminder before we go to the 4th question. Today's show, we want to shout out our sponsor. It is sponsored by nobody, so thank you so much for that sponsorship. We're working on that. It's going to happen soon. They are rumors right now that it's going to include a bonus for the host. So, we're pulling for that. We're hoping that it's going to happen soon. And with that being said, let's go on to question number 4. We'll start with Leon. Would you rather hire a coach or join a mastermind first?
So this is something that I actually deal with on a daily basis. So in our community, the Collective Genius, we're a community that is for full-time investors that have been in the business generally a minimum 2 years, have shown the ability to do a minimum of 25 transactions on an annual basis. So basically 2 or 3 deals a month. And those that are right on that cusp, the conversation that I'm having with them quite often is, are they ready for a community or do they need further individual coaching? And generally that individual needs a coach more so than they need a community for where they are, especially if they've only been in the business for a year. But I will say, it's got to be the right coach. Guys like CJ that are on this call that coach, that they help people back in their business. A community is something they're going to need. Most need coach engagement. Thank you for that double banger on the buzzer.
Had to. I'm sorry. With the good comes the bad. Let's go over to Steve.
I think it doesn't have to be necessarily, I think, paid, right? So I think you can start off with a little mastermind in your community. There's one that's run by Brandon Simmons in our market, the Go Giver, where Brent Daniels, Pace, Jamil, Carlos, Reyes, a bunch of us, we all were masterminded together. It was free, right? I think that's a good place to start. Squad Up is something you've heard those other guys say. I think you can start there with a free mastermind within your community as you're getting started. As far as if I was writing a check, I would start off with a coach who actually has done what I want to do and then evolve eventually into a mastermind. And the reason why is that in a mastermind, there are a lot of successful people that have all these different techniques, tactics, and strategies, and you will overwhelm yourself trying to do all those things versus having one direct track to start off to build a solid foundation first.
All right, let's jump over to Eric Brewer.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe I could go last to have more time to decide which of these two, because I think you really ought to have both. But I would imagine if you're forced to pick, I think for the first time ever, I agree a little bit with what Steve said, that the value of the mastermind is that there's literally 100 coaches, right? Each of which have their specialty. And the problem a lot of times with an undisciplined person with undisciplined thought and undisciplined action is inside a mastermind, they actually go backwards. That's why when we go to CG, we actually force discipline. We talk about it. We preach focus. But I think you should go the coach route to work on that particular phase of your business or the one thing that you struggle with. And then once you have a small team, go to a mastermind where someone can help you implement the things that you learn there.
All right. And last but not least, CJ.
Yep.
CJ, the mic's still not
I
working.
agree.
Good. Yeah, that's so good.
Yes.
Mike,
Wrap up the
So
voting.
good.
Yep.
If he wins this vote, I will flip this.
You gotta
table.
unmute
singing
yourself.
right
now you're
now.
unmuted.
You
know,
Go,
I
go,
I
Chris.
see
Taking my
what it
advice.
is. I see.
There you go.
There we go. I'll restart your time.
Yeah,
You're good.
no, it's cool. I see what's happening. I see Steve moving the mouse over behind the cup, constantly muting me. So I understand. No, look, like they say, the late great Patrice O'Neal, one of the greatest comedians of all time. All right. He talked about how he needed to lose weight. His doctor said, hey, if you don't lose weight, you're going to die. All right. And he said that wasn't motivation enough. That's masterminding. That's going to conferences and just going to a mastermind. You go to these things, you get all this motivation, you get all this information, and you go home and you have no accountability. You have nobody standing over you on a daily basis, contact you on a daily basis, giving you accountability to move forward. So I think you need coaching first. Shout out to the U. And I think you also need community and mastermind. Also shout out to the U because we offer both. Tap in with us. You know the vibes. All right.
We found a new sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be reaching out to you for the invoice.
The voting is open and the floor is open, guys.
So, when you get to a point where you're doing consistently 2 to 3 deals, come see us. But until then, especially the question was, what should you have first? You need both, but what should you have first? You need somebody, you need that accountability. It's the number one detriment for people that come into our community. If they're not ready for it, they see too many shiny objects, and it's a detriment to their business.
Yeah, and I think there was someone that had complained like we have too many sports analogies, on this show. But the reality is,
Of course,
if you look at sports, right, you gotta get the fundamentals right first. You gotta have the proper foundation, and once you've got the proper foundation, then you can add additional stuff. I'll say poker. When I play poker, I see a lot of people playing fundamentally unsound poker. And it's cool, it's fun, and you can do that once you have a proper foundation. But so many people skip straight to the fun part and skip the foundation part of doing everything correctly. And that's why I think the coach can, with the right coach, you can lay a proper foundation, and then you can do the mastermind later on.
Okay.
walk into any gym of youth basketball, and you'll see every 10-year-old taking shots from half court. Why is that? Because they see the analogy of Steph Curry as the community, is the mastermind. Instead, they should be working on the left-hand layup, the right-hand layup, the fundamentals of the business. So get that coach first.
Yeah, take notes, Eric.
Listen
Take notes, Eric.
closely, Steve. Yeah, listen
What'd you say
closely, Steve. Steve needs to work on his right-hand layups.
I missed one bunny last time. I played.
He still goes off the wrong foot. It's like it's the most awkward thing in
It was
the
a
world.
Euro step.
Oh, he's that guy on the court, Eric.
Oh,
Right.
it's not pretty.
It's,
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have my friends here.
I'll get you got a great set shot.
They are.
But man. You get to moving. It's not pretty.
Is it Euro step or Asian American step? Steve, is it the right hand layup off the right foot?
There you go, Asian American step.
The voting is open.
That's funny.
Looks like we have a landslide in progress right now, but we'll keep it up for another minute. Any last second points you guys would like to make, or feel like we touched on everything?
Nah, Weasel, just keep it open, man.
Where
so the votes can
where
go
do we invoice Chris? What's your best email?
Hey man, I gotta say, man, and I don't know who wins this round other than myself, but it's good to see you guys again. I mean, I think these are all great points in all reality. I just really stress the importance to the fact I think that you need both. I think there's great information at masterminds, but don't get overwhelmed with the information and think you've got to go back and try to do 5 different strategies. sometimes you got to go deeper into what's working for you or what has been working before you try to go wide.
Okay. All right. With that, the voting has closed. CJ won with 50%, so that's win number 3 for him on the day. He's back. He's back, and he's determined.
Came back strong. We came back strong, man.
Came back strong. Flex. Just a reminder for everyone, the last question that we do ask is an audience submitted question. So everyone in the chat that's watching right now, please drop your questions. We do have one more question that we are going to ask, and then the last question will be from the audience. So go ahead and start dropping questions that you'd like the panel to discuss for our last segment. And with that, we'll move on to question number 5. So start with CJ again. Would you rather have a big marketing budget and a bad sales team, or a small marketing budget with a great sales team?
Yeah, look, man, I'm a sniper, man. I'm not a first infantry shotgun blast guy. I'm going to take the smaller team or the smaller budget with a really great team. I think that there's a lot that's been told in real estate wholesaling over the years that you have to have this huge team with 20, 30 people calling and 20, 30 sales reps to really make money in this business. And you just don't. I think you can build a small core effective team of 3 to 4 sales reps. And I think you can go out here and make a ton of money in the business. So yeah, I'm going to take the smaller team, the greater team and smaller list 110%.
Okay. Steve Trang, your thoughts?
So when I was learning this business many, many years ago, I learned a lot from Dan Kennedy, who's a genius of copywriting, right? He talks about marketing. And he says the best way to win, to defeat your competition, is to be able to outmarket them. You know, the more you can spend on marketing profitably against your competition, you can remove your competition by just outmarketing them. So for me, I would say the ability to outspend your competition in marketing. I'm a big fan of sales as well, but if you can outspend your competition profitably, I would do that because you can naturally eliminate your competition. So that's the direction I would go.
Okay. All right. Leon G. Barnes.
You know how hard it is to have a great sales team? And that is, there are not a lot of companies that have a great sales team. And a lot of people that are watching this, they don't have the budget to spend big money on marketing. So if I'm going to laser focus on anything, I want a great sales team first, because that great sales team is ultimately going to get me to a point where I can start affording to spend more money on marketing and then have ground cover for my troops, to go back to CJ's analogy on sniping, right? The marketing is ground cover for great troops. It takes all the obstacles out of their way. It helps them overcome objections, but they're already great at it, right? So I'm taking the great sales team all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Right. And Eric Brewer.
None of y'all know what you talking about. Let me drop some knowledge for you. Listen, I read a book by Gary Keller. He said a long time ago, by the way, he knows more about either of these topics than both of us, any of us on this call. He said, no matter what business they're in, you have to be a marketer first. You can have the best sales team in the world, and if you have no leads, you have no business, which means you'll have no sales staff. So unless we're going to cross over and say we're going to turn them into outbound prospectors, which you could do, but that's not the way I understood the question. I'd rather have a huge marketing budget, and to Leon's point, at some point, I'm going to get enough sales that I can fire the bad salespeople and have the big budget and the great sales team. So if I had to choose, which I don't think you should be able to do a little bit of both. I'm going to go big marketing budget. I'm going to troll and just find a couple of the low-hanging fruit deals that are out there, and then I'm going to slowly start to build my sales team.
All right. The voting is now open, and the floor is open as well.
So I'll talk a little bit about.
So,
go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say why you were wrong, and Eric, but
and Gary Keller.
Like,
by
look,
the way.
we've all had students that come here.
People that are wrong. He quoted a genius. I quoted Gary Keller, and then all right, Chris has something to say.
Let's add Gary in chat.
And Dan Kennedy. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Tag him.
I'm a huge Dan Kennedy fan, but look. We've all seen the students that are the people who come into real estate, whether it's a student, whoever, they've got the big budget. They've got the nice size W-2. They've got the nice size credit card, and they come into the business and they say, oh, Chris, my budget's big, man. I can spend $5,000 a month. I can spend X amount of dollars a month. But they're the bad sales team. And we've all seen these people come into the business and not have great success because they lack the understanding of sales. To discount the fact that sales is critically important to what we're doing, I think is, I don't think that's fair. I think no matter how big your list is or your budget is, if you can't close, you're not going to make that much money to be able to cover the cost of that marketing in the first place.
So Chris, the reason why I say marketing first and then sales, like I'm a sales trainer, right? Obviously I'm very passionate about sales, but unfortunately in the early part of my career, I was really bad at sales. I was horrendous at sales. And the reason why I was successful was because I could market effectively. So marketing covered up a lot of the bad sales skills until we got to a point where now we're focusing on sales, and marketing is still important, but not as critical to our business.
So I'm going to go back to what Eric said about Gary Keller, because as someone, and I think Eric has a Keller Williams team as well, but I have a small Keller Williams team. And I can tell you, at being in that downline, I can tell you this, that Gary may say that, but what's their number one way of getting listings and getting business? It's not marketing, it's sphere of influence.
Which is marketing.
So even
that's marketing, bonehead.
But that's not in a traditional sense of television.
Not within a budget.
Direct mail, not within a budget.
It's your time. There's three
marketing budget.
Forms of currency. There's
the
revenue,
there's
big
marketing budget.
And there's focus. Y'all are operating at a JV level. Chris said a big marketing budget is $5,000. So let's be honest. That's not a big budget. That's not big enough to offset a bad sales team. And that aspect, I would tell you, you're correct, right? But we're talking about it's all relative. If someone spends $50,000 a month, they can get 4 deals out of that. That would be a horrific sales job to do that, right? But they're still going to make double their money. I just, again, sphere of influence, you're crossing the line where that's a prospecting marketing activity performed potentially by a salesperson, but it's a marketing activity. It is not because marketing is sales. If you think about it, right? Marketing's job is to sell the client to contact you about the prospect of consuming your product. But it's still, I would say, 70% marketing, 30% sales.
So let me
to this specific. Hold on, I got to get this into this to counterpoint. This is that sphere of influence is not a big marketing budget. It's not the question.
I think you'd be surprised. Some operators I know spend quite a bit of money for the sphere, right? On the realtor side, they spend quite a bit of time, money, and resources towards that. But let me ask you this: I'm going to put Leon in the spot here, if you feel comfortable with this. Right?
Absolutely.
The top operators in Collective Genius, great marketing budgets or great sales team?
Oh, absolutely. Great marketing budgets, for sure. They're outspending their competition in every single market, but they have to get there. They didn't start there. Steve.
What about the people starting out?
They didn't start there. The difference between
who's starting out? Who's starting out with a
listen,
the question.
Anybody on this call starting out? They asked us what we would rather have. So which of us 4 are just starting out? We're answering the question from our perspective.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's you can.
I'm answering it from the perspective of what I see,
and that makes sense. Because in that situation, you might have some people just can't spend the money on a marketing budget. And you have no choice but to be great at sales, right? You can spend time. In most people's cases, they have an unlimited amount of time. They don't have an unlimited amount of money. But the way that the context that the question was asked is, if you could do either, which would you do? Right? I can tell you, if you want to be lazy, you can spend. Marketing works when you don't. Sales does not. So if you want to have a more passive form of income, it's a big marketing budget and an average sales team.
To make sure that we're covering that base for everybody, Eric, if you were talking to someone that is newer in this business, how would you answer from that perspective?
They can't afford either. They're bad at sales and they don't have money to market. So what they're probably going to do is prospect, which is marketing. Where does everybody start? Cold calling. Why? Because it's cheap. What is
Cheap.
it? Prospecting.
Okay.
Case closed. Close the voting. Wrap it up, Wheeze. Give me my trophy, Wheeze.
I'm gonna pass all of CJ's voting.
My money.
I definitely agree. You had some great answers across the board, Brewer. I personally would have voted for you. Unfortunately, the voters did not. 42% so far to CJ. So I don't know what to yeah. That is another round for CJ. I do want to thank the chat. We have some great questions. CRTL, Super Fresh D1. We are actually going to use those questions for our show next week. So thank you for submitting those. The question that we have gone with, it looks like, was submitted from Cheryl Invest. And that question is going to be, is fixing and flipping houses worth the headache as a long-term investment strategy? So we're going to go backwards on this one. We'll start last round, bottom to top. Leon, what do you think about fixing and flipping houses and it being worth the headache as a long-term investment?
Well, I assume that they're fixing and flipping and burying that house and holding that property as a long-term wealth building strategy. Let's assume that's what the question is. Is it worth the headache? It is worth the headache if you're in this full time and you have an active cash strategy, whether that's wholesaling or something to bring cash to fuel the fire of your business, then absolutely it is a great thing and it's worth the headache. But it's not worth the headache if you don't know what you're doing. You don't have processes and systems set up to be able to do that. A lot of people get into this business and struggle with contractor relationships and ultimately leave this because it is not easy to do. But if you're fixing and flipping and turning it into a long-term rental, yeah, it can be worth the headache.
Okay. Eric Brewer.
Yeah, I would say generally the language of fix and flip would indicate that you're buying and selling it. There's not really anything long-term about that other than it'll take a long time for you to build wealth. I think Leon accidentally gave some great advice, and the reality would be is in order to create equity, you should learn how to renovate and refinance and repeat. I think the Burr model is a great way to build wealth. Fixing and flipping is a great way to build income. But fixing and flipping as a long-term strategy just means that you're doing it for a long time. That to me is not really a strategy. It's just the way that you happen to execute on opportunities. So I think the real question here is, should I learn construction? I would say absolutely. Regardless of how you're going to apply that, that is a very, very powerful skill set to have, and you should definitely learn construction.
Okay, Steve Trang.
I think Leon was very kind in clarifying the question, but for everyone else, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Fixing and flipping is generally an active income. So I think a lot of people that are wholesaling and flipping believe they're real estate investors. And reality is, you guys it's active income. You're trading time for money or time and resources for money so that you can take that money to invest it elsewhere, right? So I would say if you're going to do fix and flip, I think that's a great strategy. If you're passionate about fixing and flipping, if you're interested, if you love interior design, if you love dealing with contractors. I personally suck at interior design and hate dealing with contractors. So our preferred strategy for active income is to wholesale and take that to put it somewhere else to invest and grow. So I just want to make sure we're not confusing wholesaling and fixing and flipping for investing, because that's not investing, as active income.
Okay. And CJ, bring us home.
Yeah, I've fixed and flipped a whole lot of houses, man. So I think I can give some good perspective on this. Cheryl's also a student, so she should know my answer on this already. The answer is no. And it's actually quite simple. You're not going to build wealth fixing and flipping houses. It's fascinating sometimes to me, the perspective people had that I once had when I got into this business about how sexy and glorifying it is to fix and flip a house. HGTV, all this stuff we see, zombie house flippers with RJ, whatever it is. People have this thought that fixing and flipping houses is going to make you a lot of money or carry you to wealth. It's only for one thing. It's only to create active income to put into other investments. If you're already wholesaling and you've created a dynamic to create cash from wholesaling, you should have not create interest for yourself in fixing and flipping. You're going to end up somewhere complex and somewhere you don't want to be, and you're going to get very far away from your goals long term.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why people get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Like, hey, I'm an investor. I'm going to fix and flip, and because I'm not making the kind of money I want to make, I need to do more. I need to go bigger, right? Mm-hmm. And the question is, like, are you doing this because you want to generate more passive wealth or create more wealth, or are you doing this because you want to fix and flip more houses? Because generally speaking, right, every business, as you grow and scale, the profitability goes down, but the time and effort increases. So just something to consider when you're trying to do fix and flip for wealth.
Steve just dropped some game right there. I mean, when you start doing scale, I've done fix and flip at scale, 20, 30 active projects at a time. When you've got to have site superintendents, when you've got to have project managers, when you've got to have construction material buyers and stuff like that on your team, your margin starts to thin out and quickly gets down to, if you're really good at what you're doing, like 8 to 10%. That's not going to build you any sort of wealth. And I'm telling you, as somebody who used to do a lot of it, I've encouraged all of my folks that are students to stop getting so obsessed with the thought of fixing and flipping a house. It won't get you to where you want to go. I promise you that. If you know how to make money other ways, faster with less headache, you should utilize that. And if you don't, then you should consider using fixing and flipping to do that.
So if you want a strategy of how to use fix and flip as wealth building and also have active income, I personally do this myself. I do about 3 deals a month. Of those 3, usually in a market, 2 to be active income, say, on every single month. So we're adding anywhere between 12 to 20 rental properties from those single family flips. So I have active as well as wealth building. It's an easy strategy, but again, to CJ's point, I've got 9 years of experience flipping houses with contractors that I trust and that built those relationships over time. If you're just looking for active income, Steve's answer of wholesaling is the best way to go.
Here's something
one more thing, if you don't mind, real quick,
is there's not everybody is a good marketing or a salesperson. I've seen plenty of our customers that are great at construction that are so fortunate that I bring them deals and they knock out a $30,000 rehab for $15,000 that would take me 5 weeks and they do it in 2. So I think what you got to identify is, what is your skill set? If you're great at construction, you should be doing fix and flipping, not wholesale, because you will probably suck at wholesale. If you're really good at sales, you're going to struggle at construction. The only thing that I would say to push back a little bit on Chris's point is, I think, and Chris probably flipped most of his houses back when he had to, but it was difficult to create enough equity in a wholesale deal, because anytime from 2008 to 2012 or 13, there was not a lot of cash buyers out there. When you bought a house, you had to renovate it to create equity. So there's the possibility that if we don't acquire that skill set and we're really good at generating leads and getting deals, but there's no buyers out there, which we haven't seen for a long time, I understand. But I like the fact of acquiring construction as a skill set, because we raise the barrier of entry for our competition, right? People can develop sales skills in a year. It takes a decade to develop construction skills. So I agree with Chris to the fact that don't jump both feet in and try and become a GC contractor, HGTV floor planner, knocking out beams and walls and all that stuff. But you should slowly, maybe 1 out of every 10 deals you do, flip that sucker and see if you can't pick up some valuable skills.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick on that, man, because Eric is spot on with what he just said with that. So I still fix and flip, but I'm not going to Lowe's. I'm not going to a job site. I'm not arguing back and forth with the contractor anymore. Like Eric said, I did that when I had to. But how I now utilize the business, I just look at it as a house as a security. Shout out to Blackstone. So what I'm doing is I'm just going and JVing with somebody who wants to be that. Somebody that was me 2008 to 2013, they're in that position. They need to get their active income straight. They're good at construction. I'm going to JV with that person and create a joint venture opportunity. I'll bring in the deal. I'll bring in the financing. You can run around and get the deal done, and I'll give you a portion of the profit. So that's how I like to fix and flip now versus what we did before, which is what we did before actively as an operator. is what most people want to do when they hear fixing and flipping, which I just think is a sticky place to get.
Can I say one last thing about construction, because this is important. At the Collective Genius, we have 194 members, the top real estate investors in the United States. Even in that group, we have a monthly construction call for a reason. It's led by people that know how to do it at a super high level, and others that are in the group that are the highest level investors in the United States. They still need help with it. So it is not as easy as HGTV makes it look. And so if you're going to go that route, just make sure that you understand it's not easy.
All right. That was a great round too. Great set of questions this entire program. And then you guys actually gave us a lot of insightful information. So as always, we appreciate you. There is still a few seconds left on the voting. It looks like we have a close race.
It's like we're out of time.
Yeah, you should want it to be closed right now for sure. While we close out the voting, one more time, I'd just like to remind everyone that Part of the Disruption has its official clip channel that you can go ahead and follow. Rewatch all of these debates. Rewatch all of these on the current program and then all the previous programs as well. They're all up there. Free game, everybody. Soak it up. Looks like the voting has closed, and Steve Trang finally gets on the board as he edges out CJ 43%. There you go, boss man. You're on the board.
It's not really about me winning the round, though. It's the fact that Eric got 0 points. That's really all that matters today.
Emotional, damn it.
Why do you save that one for when you win the round?
Listen, there's a whole bunch of them.
Strategic product placement right there.
There's a bunch of them. I keep them hidden from you guys. I don't want to do that to you guys quite yet. That does conclude this week's episode of Part of the Disruption. I do want to go virtual left to right and give everyone a chance to sign off. Let's start off with Steve.
So thank you everyone for watching. I think that today's material was so spot on, so timely, so relevant. And I think that I would really love for more people to watch this, right? Because I think we got the right people with the right experience sharing their wisdom. So if you guys are getting value, share this. Tell your friends about this, right? I think that there's so much game that's being dropped here that you wouldn't hear unless you were in a different mastermind with the rest of us, right? These are the kinds of conversations we have at the bar. These are the kinds of conversations we're having after basketball together, right? Like, I think that people that, if you're getting value, please share this with your friend. I think there's a lot of valuable content here.
For sure. Let's go over to Leon G. Barnes.
So Leon Barnes with the Collective Genius. We were talking about communities earlier in coaching. When you have grown your business to a point where you need a community, we are the community for high-level real estate investors. Shout at me when you get to that point. I will say that everybody on this Zoom today, or this podcast today, I can tell you that this is all great knowledge. There's different perspectives here. All of us have different times in this business, and there's no wrong answers. Honestly, there's just, other than a few that Steve gave you, and a few maybe of Eric's as well. I did find out a true stat today, something really cool, that Eric doesn't wear a helmet when he bikes. So that's pretty interesting that he doesn't wear a helmet. We'll leave it there.
Do you wear one when you run?
This is really important to protect. I don't trip and fall when I run.
I don't know.
Look at your hand. You failed today, so you need to wear a helmet. I don't fall when I run.
The helmet wouldn't have helped my hand.
The gloves is what we're really talking about.
Yeah. Speaking of wrong answers, he said wear a helmet so you don't hurt your hand.
Protective wear.
Yeah. Now, that was evidence of your fall.
Oh, all right. Well,
Brewer, would you like to sign off and give everyone some safety tips?
Yeah, I would say, man, this is a tricky time in real estate. There's a lot of attention around it. There's a ton of people that have curiosity. They go out and they seek information and they struggle to get started. I think what's really cool about the group of people that we get together on here, whether it's CJ, RJ, LG, or ST, or EB, whatever it is, I feel stupid because I don't have a 2-letter nickname. But this is an amazing opportunity to hear stuff from people without any agenda. Like typically when you're listening to these things, someone's trying to sell you something, pitch you something, or point you in the direction for their own personal benefit. What I love about doing this is we're challenged. I mean, there's dialogue that happens all week about what we're going to talk about, right? We're putting a lot of thought into what we can discuss on this show that will help people that are seeking some type of guidance or assurance that they're doing the right thing. And I would just encourage you, like Steve said, to consume it, share it, do something with it. One of the best parts about me being a mastermind was not what I got out of it, but the opportunity to give. There's a friend and a mentor of mine, Larry Yatch, that's a retired Navy SEAL, just a general badass. He works with a few people on this call. And he says, when you give people the opportunity to help you, helping other humans is like crack to people. So, what we're doing here, the reason we're doing this is because we all love helping people. That's why we're in real estate. That's why we're in sales. When you boil it down to sales, it's helping people. Just tap into this community, man. Watch this, listen to it, share it, and you giving it to someone else, the universe will give it back to you 10 times in return.
Nice. Shout out to Larry Yatch, and Brewer, you go enjoy yourself this weekend. Let's go ahead and conclude with CJ.
Yeah, I mean, to the victor comes the spoils, man. I'm not going to take, too much time because, shout out to my guy, EB. All right, my guy, EB, he summed it up pretty well there and summarized it great. Steve as well. I mean, look, these are really the bar conversations. These are the conversations that high-level masterminds, the guys are just sitting around, having, hey, what's your thoughts on the market? What are you thinking right now about rates? What are you thinking about construction right now and doing fix and flip? So to be able to get this for free on a YouTube and just see these types of conversations, I think is really impactful. So definitely share it. Definitely let people know about it as well. And I'll be back to win again next week, man. You know the vibes. It's been a good time.
There we go.
Much love.
Side note, Cleveland Cavaliers acquired Donovan
Listen,
Mitchell.
I was hoping that you weren't going to bring that up. I was hoping nobody brought that up. I'm a Knicks fan. You just cut me deep. It's time to end the program. I'm going to go cry. Thank you for bringing that up. I was really...
Spider is on the move, man. Spider is on the move.
This was the best episode, in my opinion, and then you just came and crapped all over it. So thanks for that.
That's what you get for being a Knicks fan. Y'all are some dirty people. Bad team. MSG is a nasty, dirty place.
At least we wear helmets, all right?
But you should wear helmets at the Madison Square Garden.
Wear helmets, gloves, potentially bubbles if we need.
That way you don't hurt your hands. Wear helmets to keep your hands safe.
We may or may not see Eric Brewer back next week, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Part in the Disruption. I'm your host, Rizzo. We'll catch you next week.